It's called Party on Metro FM at 1426 Metro FM is where you're at. Hanging out with Gucci Mane on that one. As we hang out with an award-winning sound designer, that is Jim Petrak. Jim, what is the role of us? What is the difference, if you can just maybe explain that to us? Difference between sound designer and sound engineer.
There's quite a big difference.
Yeah.
A sound engineer could be a variation of many different things. You get live engineers that deal with live productions, so engineers that deal with recording and mixing down bands on stage or any live act. Or you get post-production engineers, which is essentially what I am.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get sound designers. Now, sound designers are the guys, essentially, when we now specifically talking about film, are the guys that deal with the actual feel, the emotional feel of the film. So they're the ones that will generally get directed by the director. They'll be briefed by the director, and they will kind of try and fulfill the vision of the director, make sure that the emotion that is needed to carry the film through will be carried through.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas an engineer is generally more on the mixing side or the recording side of things. I'm both. Generally, an engineer can also be a sound designer, and a sound designer won't necessarily always be an engineer.
No, because a sound engineer would just focus a lot on balancing the sound.
Correct.
As opposed to give direction to...
A sound designer is more of the creative side. I wouldn't say that the engineer or the mix engineer is not creative, because they're very creative. But they're definitely more on the scientific side of the engineering side of the business. Whereas the designer doesn't necessarily have to be an engineer or understand all the aspects of... They just need to understand the basics of it, but they need to have a major creative flow.
Yeah.
All right. So then the director... So, okay, the film is done. Now you need to add music to add to the mood that they're trying to portray, right? Would a director come to you with the music that they want, or would you suggest music to fulfill the mood?
Generally, there's a composer who actually deals with all the music.
Okay.
And there will also be a music supervisor who will maybe deal with commercial music tracks together with the composer, so that the elements come together.
Okay.
So our role essentially would be to deal with all the dialogue, to deal with all the sound effects, to deal with all the ambiences, and make sure that everything integrates quite well. You get sound designers that deal with musical notation, so it's kind of... There's a fine line between music and sound designing as such, but a sound designer will also make sure that the score does not conflict with the sound design in a film. So you might have big whooshes and big cranks and big percussion sounds that happen, but now if you don't collaborate together, you'll maybe have both of them in the music and in the sound design, and the two might clash. So when you work together, you actually eliminate all of those, so that when you do bring those two elements together, they actually work together for the film rather than against each other and then take away from the film.
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question.
You've got your own company, right?
I've got my own company, yes.
Sound Surface Audio Post Production.
That's right.
What do you guys do?
Well, we do everything film. We deal with a lot of television work as well, predominantly international TV stuff, so it'll be documentaries as well. Some TV series, but most of the work that we specialize in feature films. So most of our work is film based, and we focus more on film than on TV. TV's on the backhand for when we might not be that busy.
Have you ever turned down any job because
I have.
Oh, okay.
I have.
And the
I would
reason
like
was?
okay, the reason is just because I didn't feel that it necessarily fitted the kind of work that we would want to work on.
Okay.
So that's the main answer. It could have also been because we were too busy to take on a job. But I'm very specific on the films that I choose. I like stuff.
Oh, so you choose as opposed to you just take everything that comes through.
Absolutely.
You have to choose.
Yeah. I like to choose, and I like to work on films that mean something and have a bit of heart and a bit of soul in it. And that also helps push through in the kind of work that we do, and and getting awards and stuff like that.
Do you see the bigger picture though when you get approached about maybe a film that they need you to work on? Do you see that bigger picture? If that film is really going to make it, or
You mean if it's going to make it on the box office?
Yeah.
No, definitely not. You never know. You know, we've got such a versatile audience and a very difficult industry to deal with in this country. When we worked on the film Toti, we had absolutely no idea that Toti would have won an Academy Award and it would have done as well as it did. You know, you get your obvious South African films, Schuster films, you just know that they're going to make it at the box office. You know? But it's really a difficult market, and you never know whether it's going to hit it big. I mean, I can't really mention a name specifically, but there was a film done in the last year that I thought really should have done well on the box office. It should have been a hit, and it wasn't. You know, so it's.
Oh, now I'm interested to find out.
I can't. Yeah, I'll tell you afterwards.
If you want to say it, that's your prerogative.
The producer would love it if I told you, and I didn't even actually work on the film, so yeah.
Oh man, but
You
you've
never
also
know.
worked on really great films such as Yesterday with Lilith,
Yeah.
Catch a Fire, Nothing for Mahala.
Yesterday,
Leading
by the way,
Lady.
is one of my favorite films.
Yeah?
It's such a powerful drama, and if you haven't seen it, please go and watch
It's
it.
amazing.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Is there a film that stands out for you? One that you think, wow, I'm so
Yesterday's
glad
definitely
I did.
one of those.
Oh really? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have a few films that are very close to me for different reasons.
Yeah.
You know, each film has its own uniqueness, I guess.
Yeah.
And you know, we won a SAFTA in 2014 for sound on Nothing for Mahala, which was Tapela Mokoena.
Yes.
Which was a really great film, had great values, and you know there was a lot to it as well. So I mean, every film has its thing, you know. So yeah.
Tell me, do you have to have some kind of a, I don't know, music background? Do you have to understand sound for you to make it as a sound designer, or can you just, you know,
Study
for as long
it.
as you have interest and passion, can you just go and study it and be successful in it?
I think interest, I think passion and dedication
Yeah.
and not being shy to work really hard is an absolute must. It's a criteria that has to be there. So absolutely, I don't. You know, to become a sound designer, you don't necessarily have to study sound design. Although I shouldn't say that. I am the sound design chair of AFTA, but you should study it. It does help a lot. You know, to be a mixer, I think you should study sound engineering to be a mixer. It's very important to understand all the aspects and science behind sound in order to help you become a good mixer.
Have you ever gotten it wrong though? Like in any film that you've been working on, or you were nominated to work on, and you're like, you know, I cannot seem to understand what the director was trying to say to me.
You mean not be able to crack it or fulfill the vision? It hasn't happened to me.
Oh,
Obviously.
That's why you're sitting there.
No, you know, I can't say that I've gotten it wrong. I can say that I've gone in the wrong direction.
Oh, okay.
But I always communicate with the director. So always, you know, before it's too late, one can always make sure that it's not too late.
Yeah.
So I have possibly started off in the wrong direction, but then been corrected through communication with the director.
There you go.
So yeah, it's about communication. A lot of it, even with myself and my team, it's all about communication.
Yeah.
I hope you're on social media, because we're going to ask you for your handle for people to bother you for whatever kind of information you can impart. If not, you know, not abuse you as such, but people need to use you because you've got the knowledge.
Yes.
I believe. All right. 14:35. This is AKA on Metro. The world is yours.